Welcome to another wonderful winning Wednesday. I hope if you're on the East Coast, anywhere north of me, it's cold. It's very, very cold. We had to go out to Costco earlier today, and it's that type of cold that you should really only be outside for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, you start to feel it on your skin. You start to really feel it on your skin. So, with that being said, I want to personally welcome you to another wonderful winning Wednesday because guess what? Regardless of what's going on outside, it could be cold, it could be snowing. Guess what? You get to control the outcomes for today, right? At the beginning of the day, we're always looking for that one win, and we're looking at closing our day by marking it off with a W, plus also looking at what if we had an opportunity to make a different change, right? Reflect on that at the end of your week. This is something that I share with all of my coaching clients, right? Reflection. Coaching is great, journaling is great, but make sure that you are also reflecting on many of the things that are going on in your life at the same time. Welcome, Eunice. I've already given them a wonderful winning Wednesday, right? And I
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that today's topic is why personal guarantees hurt, right?
Mm. Yep.
But bigger than a personal guarantee is if you are a business owner, you should be doing everything within your power to avoid having to sign on the line for your business. In our world, you might have heard of it as a personal guarantee or a PG. So we're trying to help you to avoid that situation where you are signing on the line for your business at the same time. So what's going on, Eunice?
Right.
Are you staying warm?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's been cold, but it's we haven't felt much of it because we've been pretty much indoors. The roads haven't been so great to drive in, so that was a good enough excuse to be indoors and just work from home and do whatever needs to be done. But yeah, everything is good. The sun is out. It's a beautiful day nonetheless, and it's Wednesday, so we are here and we are ready to jump on today's topic. So why don't you start us off?
All right.
Why personal guarantee? Why it hurts?
Uh-huh. The first reason why you don't want to basically have a personal guarantee against your business is because personal guarantees collapses the wall between you and your business, right?
Mm,
Basically, what you're saying when you provide a personal guarantee to the lender is that if your business can't pay, you will, right?
yeah.
And
Hmm.
basically, the reason why you created business credit was because you wanted to basically have that firewall between you personally and your corporation. So when you do a personal guarantee, this destroys the legal and financial separation you worked hard to create between your LLC or your corporation and you personally, right?
Mm, mm. That's good. And I think a lot of times with business owners, even though we all know that we want to separate our business from our own personal finances, when it comes to financing, a lot of times I think that principle goes to the back because at that point you are saying, I need this funding for my business. And if I have to personally guarantee it, then let me personally guarantee it. And what you just said right now is very important to many business owners to realize that the minute you do that, that separation that you've been working hard for to build, you are really now just blowing through that wall. So that's good.
No, and the first thing that you'll notice is when we first got our first business credit card, right? It basically had the entity's name on the business credit card. However, I came to know every month when we had done a big charge, $1,000, $2,000, that I was noticing that my personal score was taking a hit. And I said, how can this be? Right? Because it's
Mm,
in the name of the business, right? But I
yeah.
realized at that point in time that there was a personal guarantee with that credit card, right? And and it was having an impact on our credit score. Even though we were paying that credit card off every single month, it was basically dropping our FICO score or my personal FICO score by between 50 to 100 points whenever we ran up the charge on that particular card. So this is against late payments, charge-offs, or even collections have the probability of dropping your personal FICO score 150 points or more. So
Mm.
one of the
So what
reasons why you don't want that.
so what I'm hearing from you is that even when you apply for credit cards for your business, plan or make sure that those credit cards are entirely for the business and under the business name, EIN, and things of that sort, so that everything is not really it's not reflecting on you as an individual.
Yes, right? The
Because a lot of times, I think many business owners, we have a lot of people who would approach you and say, you can get a business card,
mm,
right? And a lot of times, we have so many business owners who have business cards that, like us, at some point, the name is the name of the business, ABC LLC, or whatever it is that your business is called. So at the back of your mind, you think, oh, okay, this is for the business. You don't realize that it's actually tied to you personally.
yes. We didn't know that 10
Hmm.
years ago. We now know that today.
Hmm.
The best thing
And,
go
and
ahead.
I,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, from a real estate professional myself, I'll say one of the things that, as you are looking to purchase a home, that the lender is going to look at is your debt to income ratio. So when all these business cards are tied to you personally, guess what that means? That now means that your debt to income ratio is going to take those debts into consideration. And when those are taken into consideration, sometimes it may mean that your debt to income ratio is so high that you are not in a position where you are able to qualify to purchase a home. Whereas if it was based entirely on just those personal expenses that are for the family or that are for you personally, you may qualify. So those are some of the things that you may want to look at, especially those entrepreneurs who say, I've got a business, I run my own business. Right now, the next step is for me to own a home. What are some of the things I need to look at? This is one of the first things that I want you to look at and make sure that there's that separation and you are aware that, hey, if this is within your name, and is under you personally, it will count towards your debt to income ratio.
Yeah, and that debt is showing up on your personal credit profile, not just the business, right? So any
Hmm.
missed payments, etc., hit your personal credit profile, right? When you're signing off as a co-signer for that debt, that PG actually exposes your personal assets, right? So your cash,
Hmm.
your home, your equity, even future wages are being exposed just because you thought that you were just trying to help out your business. And I actually remember seeing it the other day. I think I pointed this out to you, where there was a business owner in Minneapolis who said that during the winter months, because she ran a coffee shop, I believe it was, she said that's when she starts relying on credit cards so that she can meet her cash flow. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to rewind that and go back and find that lady and reach out to her to say, you know what? I saw you on the news and there is actually a better way, and just try to educate her. Hopefully, she's open to hearing that suggestion. So, before we transition off this topic, one of the things that I want to say is that once you sign a personal guarantee, you are a co-signer, which takes away from your business owner responsibility, right? And you've crossed that firewall that's separating you personally from the business, right? And the reason why you went out and created the LLC or the corporation was so that you can have separation between the business and you personally. But
Hmm.
Eunice, you hit on a very, very, very important point, is that when you do sign off on a PG, you're hitting your personal credit score, and that limits your future options, right? So personal guarantees limit growth, leverage, and also peace of mind, because if you're a business owner, and I don't know, it's an odd thing, but I usually see when businesses are going out of business, right? And we know that the data is there that 50% of businesses, if not more, will not make it through to their fifth year. So understanding that you have a great idea, etc., there is a strong possibility that that business might not survive. This is one of the primary reasons why you want to make sure that you have separation, so those assets that you currently have aren't being exposed. You were touching on that from a real estate agent perspective. The PG increases your debt to income ratio. That's on your personal side. And you mentioned one
Hmm.
thing that I didn't push back on it just a little bit, is that yes, having an impact on your personal debt to income ratio doesn't mean that you're not going to qualify, right? It just means that because the ratios will probably be out of balance just a bit, that's going to cost you just a little bit more. Capital always has a cost, right? That cost is usually
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
determined by your risk in the form of interest rate, right?
Hmm.
So, this is the primary reason I believe that you want to avoid providing a PG, because a high DTI blocks you on a mortgage, auto loans, right? And also future business funding. Now,
Yes.
we're not talking about real estate investing in this session today, but one of the things that we've been able to do, and how we even came to know about business credit, is when we were doing fix and flips, right? We needed capital so that we can fund the renovation, right? And we weren't
Hmm.
being given capital only in the name of the business. That's the reason why we came to this. We had perfect credit scores, right? But when we went to go and apply for credit using just the EIN number, I think our first limit was $5,000, and we're like, "What are we going to do with this? We don't need $5,000. We need $50,000."
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, that That's it in essence, that hey, it does affect your other avenues, whether it's looking for other loans, looking for growth in other areas that will need some type of funding. It does affect those. So it may, and when you don't need it, for example, when you don't need no anybody to be looking at your debt to income ratio, you don't think about it. You think, okay, no, it's okay, until such a time that you are in need and you need to make those moves. Then that's when you're going to feel that impact and then think about, okay, maybe I shouldn't have. And at that point, sometimes it's a little bit late, in that you can't necessarily just go and say, hey, let me just pay off and then get everything back into order and then go and get whatever I wanted to do. So, you, as a business owner, you always want to prepare. You don't want to be caught by surprise. If you are able to prepare ahead, it helps you be able to be in a position where you can even fully capitalize on opportunities as and when they come, versus um, trying to blow out fires and then going to get those opportunities.
No, and I just know that it is an enormous amount of stress when the entrepreneur is trying to balance what's needed for the business versus what's needed at home, right?
Yeah.
That is an enormous amount of stress. And I believe that that forces burnout or leads to burnout. And that has an enormous risk on you personally, right? Because as I always tell people, the airlines got it right. Before you can help someone else, you have to put on your
Help
mask
yourself.
before you can help them with their mask,
Mm.
right? So the reason why I believe people are going into the entrepreneurial route is because they're looking for a freedom. And by a freedom, I mean they're looking for either financial freedom, time freedom, or location freedom, right? And when
Hmm.
you put a guarantee or become a co-signer for your business, you are actually moving in the opposite direction of where you want it to go, right? So, yeah, if you're going to a traditional bank, right, they're probably going to say to you, yeah, you're going to have to provide a personal guarantee, right? And why is that? Because banks love personal guarantees because
Yeah.
it removes their risk. Let me repeat that. It
Or
removes,
reduces the risk.
well, it reduces their risk, but it also removes their risk because that asset would have to basically cover the debt that you are taking on, right?
Mm.
So if you want, basically, they're only going to allow for you to cover that debt with probably 80% of the asset, 75 to 80% of the asset, right?
Yeah.
So if you go in for $100,000, the house has to be valued at 125 to 150. It's removing their risk because they know that if they have to move to that third rail called foreclosure, the asset is going to be able to cover the obligation. And
Mm.
then at the end of the day, this comes at a grave concern to you because it's a cost on your future, right? This high DTI, or if there is a bankruptcy and you're personally guaranteed against it, there's going to be a cost for your future.
Yeah.
So we dug into today why you shouldn't have a personal guarantee, right? Let's talk about and close out today's session on how to avoid personal guarantees. You start us off, Eunice, on this one.
How to avoid personal guarantees, the the best way I know how is
Hmm.
to make sure that you establish business credit, because once you have established business credit, whenever you are looking for financing, you are doing it using your EIN versus your social security number. Then there's that distinction.
That is the absolute perfect start. One of the things that I tell folks who reach out to me on their journey towards building out business credit is when the application is asking for your social security number, avoid putting it there. That's the best way that you know that they're not going to be able to run your personal credit, is because you never provided it to them. Have them run the credit just on the EIN number. That is the perfect solution. Never give them your social security number, right?
Now, with
But
that said, the question that I hear sometimes is this something that you can do at any lender, or are there specific lenders who will take your EIN and not insist on having you as a personal guarantee as well? Because there are some who will say to you, you can put in your EIN, but we also, on top of that, we also need your social security as a guarantee.
first and foremost, a personal guarantee is a last resort, right? In
Yeah.
every lender or financial source or funding source is probably not going to be the right partner for you, right? So if they are insistent upon you filling out your social security number, I would say walk away, right? Because there are funding sources and lenders, we know plenty of them, that will allow you to move forward with just an EIN. But
Hmm.
you got to understand the reason why the lender is asking for a personal guarantee. The reason why a lender is asking for a personal guarantee is because they've looked at your business credit profile and it's not healthy, or there is no credit profile there, right?
Yeah.
Or the business is young and probably isn't showing revenue. And if it is showing revenue, the revenue could be inconsistent,
Hmm.
right? You typically want to have about 6 months of consistent revenue showing on the bank account. And we spoke about it in the past session, but you want to try to have an average balance of four nines on that bank account. All of this is available to you, right? And
Hmm.
finally, you as the business owner haven't positioned the business to be fundable. So you have failed on your business if it hasn't built out its credit profile, because we know that cash flow and liquidity are like the oxygen for your business. Without it, your business, like I like to say, you don't want to have your business on a diet. You want to
Hmm.
have access to credit lines, etc., such that when opportunities come available, you are able to take action. All right.
Yeah.
So we were in negative Nelly land. Let's talk about some of the highlights that you need to see, right? Proper business entity setup and compliance, right?
Hmm.
Usually we find that most business owners stop at step number three. And step number one, two, and three are the entity is created, The EIN number is secured, the bank account is created. They stop there, right? But if you have done those three things, you're only at step number 3 of 7, right? Steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 are ensure that you have trade profiles with the 3 commercial reporting agencies. Those are Dun and Bradstreet, Experian Business, and Equifax Business. You need to have trade profiles with each of those entities, preferably 3 at each, right? Next, you have to start out at tier 1. That's building out credit with vendors. After you have built out credit with vendors, you move on to stores, then to fleet, and then to cash credit. That's where people are actually going to put money into an account for you. Lines of credits and loans are where you're looking to go here, right?
Yep.
That's tier 4. So you work your way up. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, right? Finally, you'll have cash flow friendly limits. And guess what? This has nothing to do with you personally. It didn't even register against your personal FICO.
Nice. That's what a lot of people need. Nobody wants this to mess with the FICO, right?
Absolutely. And if you are one of the unlucky folks who had a great idea, you started your business, you did everything right.
Mm-hmm.
If just things, the way that the dice have rolled didn't fall into your favor, you still have options that aren't going to impact you personally so that you can fall off the horse, stand up, dust yourself off, and get back at it again. Many entrepreneurs have failed once, twice, thrice, right? But
Yep.
being able to get up, dust yourself off, means that you can continue to stay in the game. And that's what matters most to me. And one of the reasons why I am so passionate about what we're doing here. So the goal here isn't not to get credit. The goal is to get access to capital without a personal guarantee. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. This is the conversation that you want to be having. So we touched on a lot, Eunice, right? We
Yeah.
hope that we were able to educate our audience. Let's close us out, right? Right? And let's say this, right? You can use personal guarantees to get started because you don't have a business credit profile. But I would say no longer than 12 months into the life of your business should be able to stand on its own without you having to sign anything personally. So if you're using personal guarantees because you think you do not have any other option, let me debunk that myth and say that that simply isn't true,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
at VIP Business Credit, we help business owners build real business credit using their EIN and not their SSN, so that they can access capital without risking their personal financial future. I'm going to close us out with this, Eunice. We have the QR code in the upper corner. And if you want to know where your business stands, right, you want to have a firm understanding of where your business stands, right, and how to break free from personal guarantees, I ask you to scan or visit us at www.vipbizfunds.com and schedule a business credit strategy call. In addition, we also have a service that we provide, $99. We're going to pull your Experian business credit report and we'll walk you through it. Walk you through it top to bottom, showing you what is right, showing you what is wrong. And that way you have the opportunity to take all of the guesswork out of the equation. You're
Mm-hmm.
dealing with simple math. Take me up on the offer. So let's close out, Eunice. I'm going to say it and hand it over to you. We hope that you are staying warm and having another wonderful winning Wednesday. Next week, we have a guest that we'll be inviting for you. She is a tax expert. Her name is Angie Tony, right? We're going to dive deep into what you need to be doing to ensure that you are minimizing your tax obligations, right? We'll dive deep. We're probably going to spend an hour on that session, but also have a conversation with her as to what it is that she's doing around her business to ensure that it has the capital that it needs. Eunice, you can close us out.
Well, thanks, Lee. It was a good session. I think we shared quite a lot, quite a bit. So many different things that, as business owners, are relevant to you. And if you need any assistance, or if you didn't understand something that we said here that you just want more clarity, never hesitate to contact us. And other than that, we will see you again next week on another beautiful winning Wednesday. And see you then.